Hello everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar, Fantastic Follow-Up, Convert More Prospects to Purchasers with Meredith Oliver, presented by Top Builder Solutions. Before we introduce our speaker, we'd like to tell you a little bit about Top Builder Solutions. Top Builder Solutions has been a leader in home builder, new home sales, CRM, lead management, and marketing solutions for over 10 years. Top Builder Solutions has hundreds of builders across North America with a dedicated focus on that all-important online lead. Top Builder is the perfect tool to implement the strategies our speaker will be discussing today. Our speaker today has 15 years of home builder sales and marketing experience as the president and creative director of Meredith Communications, a digital marketing agency specializing in home builder marketing. She holds a master's degree in communication technology and is the author of 3 books, Click Power, Fantastic Marketing, and Fantastic Selling. She is a 17-time presenter at the International Builder Show, including 6 appearances in the Super Sales Rally. So please join me in welcoming from Raleigh, North Carolina, speaker, author, and high heel lover, Meredith Oliver. Meredith will begin in a second, and we will start with a quick poll so we can understand who is joining us today. That poll begins now.
Are some people voting?
Yes, so we have 82% of our folks voted already in our poll.
Okay, great.
And we're about to close the poll. We'll close it now. So
okay.
26% of our attendees are online sales consultants. That's awesome. Another 26 are on-site agents.
Okay.
We have 23% of our attendees as sales managers. 16% marketing managers.
Okay.
And 11% are building owners.
Wow, so we ended up with a little slice for everybody, right? Of everybody.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you for taking a minute, everybody, for doing that. If you don't know me or you're not familiar with me, a couple of things that Dave did not mention. I am the mother of 2 children. Yep. That's my son, Brady, who's 10, and my husband of 20 years, Alan. We were celebrating our 20th anniversary this spring at a beach trip and got that photo. I have been through extensive therapy. I'm not ashamed of it because it's retail therapy. I do like shoes, and you can follow my shoe collection on Instagram. So if you weren't sure if I'm truly a digital marketer, the fact that my shoes have their own Instagram channel should prove to you my marketing cred. And if that's not enough, my most coveted marketing credential is my striking resemblance to one of the most iconic figures in advertising today, and that would be Flo, the progressive girl. Yay. So I've been around home building industry a long time. We have a digital marketing agency. I've written books, and I look like Flo. So that's me. Here's what we're not going to do today. I am not going to load you down with a series of extra tasks and checklists and make your work life harder and put more things on an already long to-do list that seems impossible as it is. What I am going to do today, the mission of the result, the promise for you spending the next few minutes with me and Dave, is that I'm going to help you add value to your follow-up attempts. So whether you're online sales counselor and you're following up solely on leads as they come in to your builder's website and through New Home Source and Zillow, etc., whether you're online doing that or you're on site and you're following up with people who've been in to visit you in the sales office or model home, at the end of the day, you have to add value in your follow-up attempts, or they're just going to ignore them. So the promise today is to help you increase the response rate from leads who have stopped responding. So I want you to think right now in your head, if you had to ballpark it, what percentage would you say of your leads that you're actively working at any given time, what percentage of them are just crickets? You know, nothing. You hear nothing. They request something, or they come into the model, you have a great conversation, and then nothing, radio silence. What percentage at any given time are not responding? Well, today's webinar is to help fix that. So, or in more specific terms, increase the response rate so that at the end of the day, we increase your conversion rate from lead to conversation if you're an online sales counselor, or lead to appointment if you're on site, or if you're looking as an on-site agent to get that second appointment. So that's the idea, is we're not trying to, this webinar is not about getting more leads. It's about getting the leads that you have to start talking and stop being radio silent. So in order to do that, we first have to really understand their mindset. So I want to introduce you to Homebuyer 2.0. Homebuyer 2.0 is extremely internet savvy, tech tool savvy. These folks use social media, and they Snapchat, and they use the Twitter, as Betty White says. And they heavily use the internet to search for new homes, to conduct a Google search. They Google search when they want to look for something new to purchase or buy. They are influenced by social media, heavily influenced by social media. They are absolutely influenced by online reviews, and those sway them regularly. I'm sure in your case too, if you're on Amazon and you have it narrowed down to this coffee maker or that coffee maker, many times the reviews win or lose the day for that particular brand. And a more recent study, and this is a Redfin study, found that particularly for millennials, 35% in 2017 actually bid on a home sight unseen. Now that's sight unseen in person, because of course they saw all about it on the web, and they were more than willing to go ahead and bid on it. Is your digital marketing, your website, your photo galleries of your inventory homes, is it so compelling that 35% would be willing to bid on them without ever visiting them in person? That's the bar you're trying to hit with Homebuyer 2.0. So these folks are all over online. And really what I want you to get, because I know you know these facts, we've been touting these facts for years in our industry, but have you ever stopped to think about, what does that mean? It means I need a website. No, go deeper. What does that mean? What does that mean? Keep questioning it. And when you go deeper, what it really means is these folks have an empowered sense of knowledge and an attitude about them. They are the internet empowered buyer. That information leads them, is empowerment. But it's also what maybe you haven't considered, and what I've been talking about the last few years, is it makes them more invested. So like, let's say you're using Top Builder Solutions as your CRM. You have a lead in there. You've been documenting your follow-up. You can see they've been to the website X number of times. You've been sending them emails. You've left a couple voicemails. Trust me when I tell you, all of that activity that you've been doing to follow up, that's documented in your CRM, with every step, they become more invested. And with that investment of, I'm into this, I think I'm kind of liking this, this is wearing me down. I mean, why do you think retargeting ads are so effective? I mean, every single time I end up buying the shoes or buying the dress or buying the whatever because the retargeting ads wear me down, right? I get more and more invested in it. And with that, the investment comes this sense of expectancy, these expectations that I now have a relationship with your brand. I now have a bond with your brand. And I've never met a single person from your company yet. Isn't that crazy? So I call these folks fans. And they haven't bought anything yet. Like, how is that possible in our world? When we talk about what is a fan, we talk about a fan in terms of someone who is a repeat customer. No, your digital marketing creates fans long before they've ever bought anything. You, as the online sales counselor, as the on-site sales counselor, now have to capitalize on this relationship that's already formed. They are into you. And it's time for you to facilitate the rest of that sale. This is a great stat that 80% of buyers know what they want before they contact a vendor. Wow, that's amazing, right? So they know exactly what they want. So why don't we give them what they want? I love these guys, right? Why don't we give them what they want? And so everything I'm going to talk about today is through this lens of giving the fans what they want, of making your communication about them, for them. And that's really the ultimate test of when you go back to your desk and you start doing your follow-up. I want you to ask yourself, does this email, does this voicemail I'm about to leave, is this really about them or is this about me? One way I like to think of it, since I have a marketing and writing background, is I think of it like, who's the hero of the story? So if I'm about to leave a voicemail, how could I take the same message that I want to leave, which is to let them know that we have a grand opening coming out, there's some pre-pricing, pre-Parade of Homes pricing available. You should come before the whole world shows up for Parade and get the best selection of home sites. Like, how do I take that exact same message that I, the salesperson, need to get across and follow up, but I flip it so I make it about them, the hero of the story, and not about me? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's the other thing about Homebuyer 2.0 that I want you to recognize, and I want you to change your mindset. A lot of times when I talk to salespeople, they say, oh no, they're not fans when they come in. I mean, they don't know hardly anything about us. They don't know if they want to buy here. They just show up randomly. And I just really would challenge that in the internet world in this day and age. I don't think we get in our cars and just drive around to neighborhoods like we used to. We do the research first. We eliminate things online first, and then we make a decision. Google came out with a study in 2011. This is 8 years old. And at that time, we were researching purchases as small as a tube of toothpaste online before buying one. So you're telling me that people who are willing to research a $3, $4, $5 purchase before they buy it, and they're not researching maybe the most significant, important purchase of their lifetime, their new home? Yeah, I don't buy it. Here's why I think you think that, though. And I understand where it's coming from because of this, what's on the screen right now. So here's a weird thing about Homebuyer 2.0 is this paradox. I call it the paradox of don't talk to me. So like they've got their hand up. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Do not sell to me. Do not sell to me. I'm skeptical of salespeople. I don't want to be sold. I hate a canned pitch. If I come across anything remotely prepackaged that I don't feel like is about me, for me, I'm going to completely tune out all of that. But at the same time, you as a salesperson, you're just listening to that. You're not reading between the lines. So if you listen to that all day, You literally might, I can see where you would think to yourself, these people are not fans of this. They are not even that interested. I just got a bunch of junk traffic. But if you read between the lines, the other part of Homebuyer 2.0 is when I'm ready, when I want to make that purchase, I need you to pay me attention, and I need you to pay me attention right now. You cannot answer fast enough. You cannot text me fast enough. You cannot live chat me fast enough. Once they want service, once they want a relationship with you and they are interested, it is on like Donkey Kong. Like you cannot be fast enough more, because at that point, they're finally ready for you to know that they've been in a relationship with your brand all this time and the walls come down. So I want you to start paying attention to those clues, to the pay me attention part of it, because it's there. So what I'm really conveying here is that selling has not changed over the years. Follow-up is still an incredibly important piece. And frankly, our industry stinks at it. Now, anytime you do any kind of research and you mystery shop, whether you're mystery shopping builder websites for responses to internet leads, or you're mystery shopping on-site agents, I mean, the large majority of them do not respond, do not follow up. It's still important. Selling has not changed. The buyers have changed. They really have. And initially, the big change was just the availability of information and the knowledge level. But then came social media, and then came online reviews. So they have a much bigger 360-degree picture of your brand now. And if you pass all those tests and they still request information from your website, or they still live chat you, or they still show up at a model home on a Sunday afternoon, holy cow, they are a fan. Here's the last part you need to know on the psychology, and then we're going to move on to the tactics. And that is this buyer, it's all about me all the time. And I love this dog doing this selfie. This cracks me up. Don't worry, cat people. I have a cat coming up later in the program. We are a all opportunity PowerPoint deck here today. But the point of this is it really, your messaging, from your voicemails to your texts to your emails, whatever channel you're using, the only way they're going to pay attention is if it's personalized and customized. Otherwise, they're going to be doing what the cat is doing right here in the GIF. They are out, right? Snooze-a-roos, right? Because we can personalize and customize everything. What they're really looking for ultimately is, how relevant are you? How relevant are you to my needs? And this applies to whether you're online or on site. Through your messaging, are you demonstrating that you get me? That you understand why I'm interested, what kind of thing I want? Do you get me? Are you closely connected or appropriate to the matter at hand? Right? I had a company reach out, this was several years ago now, who wanted to partner with Meredith Communications on some digital marketing, wanted us to white label some of their services. And I agreed to a phone call and a, demo or whatever. It was fine. And they get on there and they start this massive slide deck, which felt like death by PowerPoint for sure. And they started out with the importance of the internet as a digital marketing tool. And not to sound like arrogant, or I hope this won't come across that way, but you're really going to start a presentation with the president of a digital marketing agency with the importance of the internet? Really? See, that to me was a red flag that they had done no research on us, that they knew nothing about us. It's like I get probably 3 or 4 spam emails a day that say your website could use some search engine optimization. We would be happy to help you with that. Well, A, it could, because cobbler's shoes have none, you know the deal. But B, if I wanted to, I could certainly do it, because that's what we do. But we do it for home builders most of the time, right? So it just is, it's these, those are so obvious examples, but I want you to go back and review your email follow-ups, your letters, your postcards, your voicemails. What are you doing? What language are you using that might tip somebody off that you don't know who the heck you're talking to? That is your challenge. And I know they don't always give you a lot to work with, particularly those of you, the online sales counselors. You may only have an email address. You may not even have a community they're interested in. For those of you that are on site and that have had a conversation with someone, honestly, you have no excuse. Everything you do in your follow-up should be completely customized. And it's more than just mentioning the name of their dog in the follow-up email. It's more than that. So let's get into some tactics here. And hopefully I can give you some specific things you can do to show that this is about the other person, that this is for them, that this is relevant to them. And the first one is you have to pinky swear that you will forever and ever, amen, stop writing emails, leaving voicemails that say, I'm checking in. The other one is touching base. Now, we all do it, so don't feel bad if you've been doing it. We all do it. It's just part of our lingo as business people that we kind of pass down through the generations. Checking in, touching base. Why am I objecting to those two phrases? Because they sound like a cliche, because they sound like a sales form letter. So really what this point is actually all about is really stop the cliches. Just stop. If you have an auto response email that goes out whenever somebody registers on your website through your CRM, and that email starts out with, thank you for your interest, nobody is going to reply to that. Why? Because, hello, it's a form letter and we all know it. Remember at the beginning, I said my whole goal was to increase the response rate from the leads that have gone radio silent. Well, the way we're going to do that is, number one, we need to humanize you. We need to show them that a real person is behind this follow-up. It's a little bit easier when you're on site because you should have already talked and met with them, but doesn't mean you don't still have some of these same bad habits, even if you're on site. So go through all of your follow-ups. How are you going to make them more relevant, more personalized, more customized? Well, you are going to eliminate checking in and touching base. No more, never again. Now you're like, yeah, I don't know what to say now. Well, you got to find a new way to say basically the same thing. How are you? How's the home search going? It's been a while since we talked, and I wanted to see how it's going. I mean, the idea here is, without sounding creepy, you want to reach back out. I was thinking about you, without sounding creepy. Okay, so if you do it wrong, I was thinking about you. I mean, that's going to come off really creepy, right? But if you do it right, I was thinking about our conversation. I was thinking about when we met and how you were interested in this and this. And I wanted to let you know, we've got a new virtual tour of a model that's very close, if not exactly, to what you were describing. And I wanted to send you a link to that. Do you see how you just told them about a new model and a new virtual tour, but yet it was all about them? That's what we're trying to do here. Flip the script, okay? All right, so just say no to checking in and touching base. Just say no. Do like the bird. We're not doing it. No more, okay? What can you do instead? Well, you could offer an idea or an insight, an idea or an insight. So let's take, for example, if you're an on-site agent or online, either way, this could work. We talked about your need for a master on the main floor. So I wanted to share, and you could fill in the blank. We have a new model. We have a new plan. We have a new Matterport, or we have a new video, and it shows this. We have a Pinterest board with a Pinterest board of bedroom photography, and thought you might want to browse through the various styles and designs that we have. Really, so you're offering them a resource. You're adding value because it's a link to a tour, or it's a link to a photo gallery or a Pinterest board. Ideally, with your follow-up, you want to link back to your website as often as possible. Whether you're online or on-site, either one. You want to link back there. The more people you can get back on that website, the more likely, the stronger the bond. Remember, I told you they already have a relationship with your brand. It's just a digital relationship. And the more they spend time on your website, especially if it's a good one, with your interactive floor plans and your interactive site maps and your video tours and your aerial drone tours, all of those things strengthen the bond. So we want to keep them there. We want to get them there as much as we can. So that's an idea right there. So when you do follow up, instead of checking in or touching base, you could just say, hey, I was thinking of you. Or if that's a little too creepy, I was thinking about our conversation and thought I would share this. All right, next one, solve a problem. So the other thing you can do, this is particularly good for on-site agents who have had a more in-depth conversation with someone. Let's say you have met with them and they're concerned about being able to sell their current home, or they're concerned about interest rates going up, or they're concerned about moving because someone in the family has a disability and there's really just one adult and there's 3 children, and how on earth would they pack up and move a whole house? That seems like an obstacle too big to overcome. So with solve a problem, you acknowledge it in follow-up and you offer them a solution. We have a relationship with this moving company, and I can speak to the owner and we can make this turnkey. Or we have a relationship with this mortgage company and you were concerned about rates going up, and I don't know anybody better to talk to you than them about where the market stands right now and financing. Be that resource. You mentioned a concern about construction and living in a construction zone for the next 9 months, and I thought I'd connect you to our superintendent in that neighborhood, and he can talk to you about what they do to, eliminate that. I mean, what could you offer as a follow-up? Again, I was thinking about our conversation. You mentioned this, and I thought I would offer this. Okay, so it's not going to fit every time, but it's way better than checking in. All right, the next is, make sure in all of your follow-up, you always are asking a question, okay? The best tennis matches are the ones with the longest volley. They're the most fun to play, and they're the most fun to watch. And a volley in a tennis match is where each player consistently hits the ball over the net to the other player, and the other player hits it back. Once somebody hits it into the net, the volley is over. Somebody scores a point, which is good, but the volley's over, the excitement is over. When you're doing follow-up, again, regardless of channel, if you fail to ask the other person a question, you've just hit your ball into the net. When you ask a question, you're volleying the ball over the net and giving them a reason and an opportunity to hit the ball back to you. Okay? So make sure And again, if you can tie it back to previous conversation, whether it's through live chat or in person, whatever, if you can tie it back, how would you use the loft space? That would be, so ask them a question. Remember though, no cliche questions. Tell me what you're looking for in your dream home. Boo. Sounds like a form letter. It sounds like a cliche. No, don't do it. All right. So that's really important. I also want to remind you that for those of you that are communicating over digital communication, my next tip is to watch your tone and make sure you have a tone. Okay. Those of you that are on site and you're communicating face to face a lot, it's a lot easier because you can read their body language. They're sitting in front of you. Teaching these webinars is so hard because I can't see you. I'm just talking to my computer screen, hoping you're listening, right? It's just digital communication is really hard that way. So I just remind you that it has no tone, and that tone matters. It really does. So I would encourage you, be friendly, like overdo the friendly. Some of the follow-up, when we do follow-up mystery shops, we find that it's just really flat, or it's not very conversational, you know, and that doesn't make me want to write you back and have a conversation with you. Okay. So part of this is, again, if you're doing email, particularly, just if it sounds like a form letter, you have got to get rid of it. Rewrite all your email follow-ups so that they literally sound as conversational as you talking with another person. Although for some of you, you need to clean it up, because if you write like you talk, we could be in trouble. But you know, now, please do not use purple color font and a bunch of emojis. And I still want your written communication to look professional, but I highly encourage you to reword it all. The best way to do this is read it out loud. If it doesn't read like someone naturally speaking one-to-one to another person, then I know it's hurting your response rates. Years ago, I had an online sales counselor rewrite all her email follow-ups to be more conversational. And within just a matter of months, she got back to me and said that the response rate of her leads that had gone radio silent, the response rate was up 75% for this one little tip. It's crazy. So I'm telling you, if you'll take out checking in, touching base, thank you for your interest. If you'll write it like, hi, I'm Meredith. I'm here to help you. It's so good to virtually meet you. You'll write like you talk. It'll go a long way. My good friend and fellow new home sales expert, Carrie Mulcrone, she is a sales trainer out of the Twin Cities, works all over the country with home builders and their sales teams. She always says, can they hear your smile when it comes to digital communication? And I think that's what I'm saying. Like when someone receives the email, can they hear a smile in it without purple fonts and smiley faces emojis? Does the overall tone feel friendly and conversational? Okay, you cat people, this one's for you. So last tip here is, if your communication, you've done all of this, you've made it about them, you've offered an idea or an insight, you've solved a problem, you've asked a question, and they are still radio silent, what do you do? Well, that's when it's time to change the channel. Okay? I want you to start thinking about various methods of communications as channels, kind of like on your remote control of your television. Okay? It's important that you match and mirror the communication channel preference of your prospect, because I promise you, every one of you has your own channel preference. I'm an email person. If you want to reach me, the fastest, best way to do that is to send me an email or a text. If you want to go the long way, call me, because I teach classes like this most days, all day, and I have very little time to talk on the phone, but I can get a lot of emails out in between each call or webinar or class or after hours, right? I know that's my preference. And so therefore, I also know that if I'm working with somebody whose preference is phone, that it's incumbent on me to change my way of doing it to my client's preferences. And I've got to remember to pick up the phone. Now, the problem is a lot of people are rather righteous and indignant about their communication channel. They feel like their channel is the correct channel. And I hate to tell you this, but there is no correct channel. It's whatever the person prefers. I mean, if they will answer you through Facebook instant message, then that's where you need to be. So it's your job to match and mirror them. So if you're not getting a response, maybe you need to change the channel. I will say, once you are communicating, this is particularly for the salespeople, once you are communicating with someone under contract, there are channels of communication that perform better in certain circumstances. If you really have maybe a little bit of bad news or a little setback that you need to share, and the tone of your voice is very important that they hear you and understand your tone, then the phone's always better for that, always. If you're needing to document something in writing to somebody, email's going to be better. If you're wanting to do a quick confirmation, still coming by today at 5, don't forget to bring such and such paperwork on your appointment. Then don't forget to make your selections or due by this day. A text is great if when you're wanting to do a quick confirmation or reminder. If you're wanting them to share something on social media or just something shareable, then social is a great channel for communication. And if you want to knock their socks off and truly wow them, then send them something through the good old United States mail service, the snail mail or FedEx or UPS or whatever, but just an actual, handwritten note. It's amazing what it can do. Okay. So when you're working with a lead, you want to match and mirror their channel. Once you begin communicating with somebody on a regular basis, you still have to do that to an extent, but sometimes you might make a different choice based on what it is you're trying to communicate. All right. So, Dave, at this juncture, we've got a few more slides to go, but before we do that, I do want to do questions right now, and we can launch the next poll. I'm interested in what's your next step. What do you think is an area that you want to commit to working on? So I'll back up. I'll leave this on. All right, Dave, if you're still there.
So
go ahead and.
Sure. Thank you, Meredith. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and enter them in the chat box, and I'll present them to Meredith, and then we will have a poll. Meredith, we do have a couple questions. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first question: should I have a different response or workflow or campaign for the different lead sources? In other words, do I treat all leads the same?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect question. No, you do not treat them all the same. So, for example, I think this one's particularly pertinent to our online sales counselors that are listening in. So you may want to have one campaign in your CRM for folks that have been on your website. They gave you a fair amount of information. We're pretty forthcoming. They are looking in the next 30, 60 days. So this is an A plus lead. And so the follow-up sequence or campaign or workflow, whatever your CRM calls it, you probably want to compress your follow-ups into a much shorter time frame, right? And in those cases, you'll generally have a phone number. And when you have a phone number always rules everything else. If you can talk to them by phone, don't email them unless they tell you that's their preferred channel, right? But usually I won't give you a phone number if I don't want you to call me. So whereas, Dave, if you get something from a third-party lead site, which are great, not a negative at all, but let's say it's a match lead. You know, they were looking at one of your competitors and you have something similar, so you received a name and email. You might do a completely different follow-up campaign for that. Generally, your follow-up timing has to be much longer. The messaging slightly different because you frankly don't know a lot about them to customize it. So that's where I'm trying to take these factors into account so that it doesn't all sound the same, because that's when it's a red flag that this is not relevant to me. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, at least you and I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have another question, and by the way, no matter what CRM system you're using, as Meredith said, make sure that it allows you to customize your follow-up or your workflow to match what's relevant to the customer, so that it's not cookie cutter or not, some form letter. And also, your CRM should have the ability to track what Meredith is telling you, and that is, how do they want to be communicated with? What is their preferred method of communication? Very important, because you probably don't remember that for every single lead that comes in. But Meredith, we do have another question, and I think this is a question all salespeople have, no matter what you're selling. And, what's the magic number? How many times do I follow up with somebody before I've kind of gone too far, before I've irritated them?
Yeah. So when you're designing your follow-up campaigns or workflows, whatever we want to call them, part of it, I take moving time frame into consideration. You don't always get that, particularly those of you that are online sales consultants. You don't always get that. But when you do, so that's important to factor in. And I always bump up. If somebody tells me their moving time frame is 6 months, then you need to follow back up in 5 months. I think people pad their schedule to avoid salespeople. So, if they tell you 3 months, then your follow-up needs to start in 2 months. So just use their moving time frame as a guide, but start early.
I like
right? Because, just start early. And so you might group your follow-up campaigns into, you have one that runs 3 months long and contains 5 follow-up attempts. Based on another group, another type of lead that comes in, you might have a campaign that lasts 6 months long and has 12 follow-up attempts. I'm not so much interested in the total number of times you follow up as that you're kind of staying with the buying cycle that they're interested in, or that they're stating, and you're following along with that. I think where we get people irritated is because all of the follow-up attempts are, I'm just checking in. I'm just checking in. I'm just checking in. And when you keep doing that, it's all about you. They know it's a sales call. It's irritating. But if you're sending them links to new virtual tours, and you're sending them a link to a photo gallery, and you're letting them know about a promotion, and, you're actually offering value, you will not get the go away, I hate you nearly as often. So the number of follow-ups really becomes irrelevant because you're tuned into their time frame. One thing I want to clear up too is I've talked a lot about form letters, but I do believe in automated follow-up. They're like, what? Well, yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of a CRM is the automation, right? So you could absolutely have an automated series of follow-ups for those that have gone radio silent, but the messaging in the follow-up, that's what matters. So if it's conversational sounding and friendly sounding, then you can get away with it. Because I think you'll have more success with a CRM and using some of those automated features than if you're trying to manually do everything and draft every email by itself with an Excel spreadsheet and Post-it notes. Like, you're just never going to be able to keep up if you have any kind of decent volume at all.
Right. Yeah, and a good CRM system will allow you to personalize those automated emails too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You personalize them. You write them very conversationally. Hi, it's Meredith. How's the home search going? And of course, when somebody writes you back or calls you from those, you stop the series so they don't keep going and saying, I haven't heard from you lately. You stop the series and then you just converse back and forth. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So before you launch our last poll, everybody's welcome to connect with me on social if you haven't already. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I really do Instagram my shoes. LinkedIn. I'm there. I post pretty regularly on all of these. My books are available on Amazon. The Fantastic Selling book, that's exactly what I've been teaching out of today. The first chapter is on relevance, and that going into that a little deeper. And then one of the other chapters is on follow-up. So it's literally what we've been discussing today. At this link, meredithspeaks.com/top builder, put the slides from today. You can also opt in. I've got a handout, a detailed handout from today, as well as the first chapter of the book is loaded there. I've also got a free webinar loaded on driving more leads through digital marketing. So I've got several gifts for you there, and I appreciate, for following and getting connected with us online. All right, Dave, so let's do our last poll. I love to do a final poll where we ask people, okay, which of these strategies do you think you might focus on next? It's always good feedback for me, the presenter. So
yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm anxious to get started doing these things too. I tell you, I love listening to Meredith talk about these. I mean, I'm not necessarily in sales, but I want to get out there and start selling now because this is good stuff, man. Okay, so we're going to launch the final poll. What strategy or strategies do you plan to try? There is 5 options in here. We are only allowed 5 options in GoToWebinar, so the last one actually combines 2. There's a total of 6. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll, and let us know what you think. Yeah, let us know what you think. And again, we definitely want to answer any questions. So if you did have any questions, there's still time. You can go to the chat box and chat us up. But for me, I know that, Dave, I have to constantly just remind myself, personalize. Don't just send this email totally with the same old wording. It's you fall into the just go through the motions kind of thing and follow up because I know follow up, but it really works. We watch home builders implement Meredith's strategies all the time, and we see the results. I mean, like she said at the very beginning, this is not about you getting more leads. It's making the most out of the leads that you already have. So in other words, you're not spending any more money. You're just closing. Right. It's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And if you can get your response rate up on, remember I asked you at the beginning, what percentage are radio silent at any given time? All right, how do we get those people re-engaged?
You know, that is what we're trying to do. Okay, so Dave, I can't see the results from here, so tell us what you're seeing.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, 39% of our attendees, and we have lots of attendees today, are going to stop checking in.
That's everyone's favorite every time.
You're just checking in, they're checking out, right? So,
yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a good line, Dave. I'm stealing that.
Okay, you got it. I get it wrong. All right, now 28% are offering ideas and insight, which I think is awesome. 17% are going to ask questions. 8% are going to solve a problem. And then another 8% are either going to change the channel or improve their tone. I like all of those. I like testing them too and seeing which works better. And
yes.
You know.
Yeah, that's right. So as you try to re-engage your leads, test different lines out with, especially when all you have is that digital communication. You know, try it worded one way, and the next time try it worded a different, and see if one works better for your customer type, your fan base. You know, we all have different demographics we're speaking to, both age, gender, part of the country, cultures. I mean, we're such a great country with so much diversity. So get to know your fans and what their lingo is. And when you, always keeping it professional though, relate to them in that way, they're going to come flocking to you. It's unbelievable what happens.
Right. And use the metrics in your software to determine like what subject lines work better than others. And then also even what time of day. You know, if you're sending out mass emails, what time of day tends to work better than others? Is it the weekend? Is it during the week? Is it definitely not Monday morning? Definitely not Friday afternoon? You know,
definitely not.
Use your metrics to find out what works. And like Meredith says, you're going to convert more leads from the opportunities you already have without getting more leads. Okay. So Meredith, thank you so much. I love listening to you. I've heard you speak many times, and it never gets old. So,
that's good because I'm getting old.
Listening to you certainly does it. So thank you, everybody. And Meredith, is there anything else you want to say?
No. Enjoy your follow-up. Love your follow-up again.
Great. Thank you, Meredith. Okay.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.